Hey, drag racing fan, Monday morning racer here for Between the Slicks, brought to you by strutmasters.com. We've got Dan Fletcher and Doug Foley waiting in the proverbial waiting room of StreamYard. We will bring them on in just a moment and talk drag racing and talk Dan's recent race. And Doug Foley has announced some news we'll dive into this evening here at Between the Slicks. If you would, hit that thumbs up button on whatever platform you're seeing this on, hit the share button. Feel free to also comment, because we would love to take your questions and put them to our drivers this evening. So here in just a few moments, we'll bring Dan on, and let me go ahead and bring Doug in right now. Doug, how you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Doing great. Good to have you on, Doug. Thank you for joining in on this session of Between the Slicks, the first one using StreamYards, and so far, so good. How are you doing there in Mooresville, North Carolina, Race City, USA?
Race City, USA is doing great. We're all excited to soon to be start racing again, so we're excited.
Definitely, yes. Indy is coming up. Some racing in North Carolina has already opened up with the TDRA racing there in Galot. And, there's also been some controversy in North Carolina with, just an hour for me, Ace Speedway. They've been shut down. So some interesting things going on in North Carolina, definitely.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a touchy situation. I mean, there's no doubt about it. You can look at it from every side. Obviously, safety is important, but keeping these tracks in business, keeping the race teams in business, that's important too. So you can look at it from everybody's perspective. All we can do is just use a little common sense and get through this.
Definitely. Common sense is key. Sadly, I think we're lacking in society currently with that. Hey, Sam, thank you for watching. Good to have you on. Billy, thank you for watching. I know Randy's out there watching as well. Every one of you that are watching, thank you for joining here with Between the Slicks. We do have Dan Fletcher in the room as well. Let me see if I can bring Dan in. Let's see, Dan, how you doing, man?
I'm good, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing well. Let's see. Here we go. So there you go, Dan.
Hey, you got Dan?
Yeah, I was wondering, do y'all know each other? I'm sure y'all know each other.
Yeah, I mean, back in the day, we haven't crossed paths recently, but for sure, he's a legend.
Oh, wow.
Definitely a legend.
You're very kind. How are you, sir? Good to see you.
Very good. Good to see you.
All right. Well, look, Dan, let me start with you. So this past weekend, you were doing some racing in North Carolina, I believe it was. Look, fill me in. How'd you do in the Mickey Thompson wagon you got there?
Well, I mean, here, I'll get down here. Not too bad. I mean, the weekend didn't start out too well. I struggled early, but the beauty of the bracket races as opposed to the NHRA races is you had several chances. And well, I struggled early on Wednesday and Thursday. Friday and Saturday, we put things together, and it was a $100,000 to win, $100,000 to win bracket race. And with the chop, it wound up being 50 to win, 30 runner-up. And unfortunately, I got runner-up, not win, but I was pretty happy with the runner-up results.
Well, man, look, good weekend there for yourself, and I again, look, talk to me about your wagon, because you've got a cool ride there with the wagon. I mean, how long have you had that thing, and what is it? What's the combination on it?
Well, a lot of people have really high-tech race cars, and I'm a low-tech kind of guy. The wagon we actually bought from a family friend probably 15 years ago, and it was just a grocery getter. I bought it for my wife primarily at the get-go, and we used to get ice cream with it. I mean, literally driving around. My kids drove it to the bracket track. Used to go 13 flat-ish, and Then it became a stock eliminator car in the NHRA world. And then the last couple of years, it's become a bracket car. And I mean, there's a lot of high dollar cars out there. I mean, the wagon is not a high dollar car. It's a wagon. It's a Chevelle wagon, a 69 Chevelle wagon. But it ran just, I was so happy with it. It ran super, super good. I clicked it 3,000 red in the final and was dead zero on the dial. I mean, it just, bracket racing's really, really hard, but it worked out pretty good. And the old Mickey Thompson Strutmaster ATI wagon got things done. I don't think anyone will look down their nose at the old wagon 2 weeks from now in Martin, Michigan at the SFG Guaranteed Million race.
Dan, look, glad you had a great weekend, and we will come right back to you. Let me jump to Doug. And Doug, look, you fill us in on what's happening with Foley Lewis Racing and the addition that you have made to the team.
Yeah, we've actually had a pretty exciting off season. You know, we had this time, we kind of reflected on where we were going, and we've made some internal changes as far as the crew is gone. We've made a crew chief change just recently this week, and we brought Doug Cook back on board, who was with us for years, literally my crew chief for just about every race I've ever attended, NHRA or IHRA. And so we were really happy to sign him for the rest of this year and all of next year, which is a huge improvement. And we're going in the direction that really we feel like we need to do to really be competitive, you know, for this Strutmaster's top fuel car.
Cool deal, Dan. I mean, cool deal, Doug. So, Doug, look, with having this key member back, how much confidence does that give you going back into drag racing the rest of the season with this now longer than the regular off-season we've had? How much confidence does it give you to have him back with you and been through thick and thin, apparently?
We've been through a lot of rounds of racing, and you know, I won, you know, Rookie of the Year and all of that back in, you know, 04 with Doug, and he won Crew Chief of the Year for the IHRA. And so for us, it's just that comfortable feeling that person there is calling the shots and really has the team's best interest in what he's trying to accomplish. And, you know, for us, that's really important. That guy who kind of, you know, kind of puts you in the beams that last couple seconds while you're getting ready to go 300 and plus miles an hour. You really got to have the confidence in the guy who's doing that, and the confidence that he's really kind of assembled a team and worked with a team to put a good car, you know, underneath you.
I can only imagine that going that fast and under that short amount of time, that yes, you want to definitely be confident in who is putting you in the beams. And I'm glad that you've got that, you know, you'll have that confidence back and hopefully move forward in, you know, accelerating the program and it becoming a program that can go out and win drag races. Because I know that's what you want to do. You want to win at that level and not just go rounds. So, I'm excited for you, the team, for strutmasters.com. And look, you know, since we were talking with Dan just a moment ago with Sportsman Racing, I know you're still involved in Sportsman Racing. Have y'all been able to get out and do any of that lately?
Not myself. My kids kind of hog the cars when it comes to Sportsman Racing. There's definitely no opportunity for me. My son Joseph was at that race that Dan was at, and he got down to, I think it was 9 cars on Wednesday night, and did quite well. It's a truck that it used to be a Tedesco truck. We buy quite a few cars from them, and it was a good piece. And you know, as Dan will, you know, confirm, it's real easy to take a good car and make it not good somehow. I don't know how, but it was a real good car, and we had it good for a while, and somehow we lost our way with it. That's a little S10 we got, and somehow we found it back. Last couple of weeks, we've really worked on converter changes, carburation changes, and we've worked on it. And it's become a real good car now. So Joseph took that out there and went some rounds, and we feel confident that car's back. So you know, we have a stable of 4 Sportsman cars in addition to the top fuel car. And we have another S10 we've been working on for about a year. I don't know. But we've always worked hard to try and make sure that those kids had cars that were capable of winning. But, as Dan will attest to, you can have the best car there, but if it's just not going your way, it's going to be a rough weekend.
So, Doug, look, got a question for you from Randy. Randy asks, look, how do you stay sharp during a long layoff and you haven't been getting any sportsman racing in? So what's it going to feel like stepping back into the car there at Indy?
Well, obviously, I'm excited about it. We got the opportunity to go out early this year, get relicensed, and you just don't jump back in one of those cars and just do it. But fortunately, when you're starting with testing and procedure, like we are going to test on Thursday and Friday prior to the event, which will get me some more seat time. We've again started going back in the simulator, working on trying to get those reaction times where they need to be. In the 10-year hiatus I had not driving a top fuel car, the competition has gotten better. There's some young competitors out there right now that can go 40 and 50 on you all day on a Pro Tree, which is pretty impressive. And so those are things that I'm starting to really work on. Spend some time in the simulator and see if I can work to be as competitive and get a feel for the car when it's going to smoke the tires or when it's going to shake. And those are things that we really believe over the remainder of this year will kind of get that comfort level taking us into next year.
All right. Thank you, Doug, for that word on how you're staying sharp and that you're ready to go back to drag racing. All right, fans, look, we're going to dive into some trivia with these two guys. I don't know if I warned them for that or not, but I got to keep a few surprises up my sleeve. We're going to look at some drag racing trivia. Why? Because, well, Melanie Salemi and Johnny Placino did not handle the other motorsports trivia that well, so I'm going to stick to drag racing this time and not dive into any other motorsport. So, you watching along, please comment your answer as I ask these questions to these drivers, and we get these drag racers drag racing down the trivia strip, as it were. Let me see if I can bring them up both side by side and go from there. Let's see if I can do that. Oh boy, this might not. We'll do this. We'll do this. So I'm cutting off my head, but they can see y'all. Okay. So, Doug, Dan, basically kind of going back to how it was in kindergarten days, have your hand ready to raise. And whoever raises their hand first, I'll let you have a shot to answer the questions. We got it?
Dan, okay. I hope you're good at trivia.
Here we go. We're gonna put this in pre-stage. First question. Who was the first to go over 300 miles per hour? Oh, Dan.
Bernstein, right?
Bernstein, yes, down there in Gainesville, the Gator Nationals. Well, I believe it was 1993, if I remember correctly. So 1993, yes, Bernstein. All right. So Dan is leading the way. Let's go into staging beams here. So, what NHRA national event used to be held in the city of Baton Rouge, Louisiana?
I'm sorry, bro. I don't mean to.
Dan, go ahead, man.
Cajun Nationals.
The Cajun Nationals, yes,
Dan,
sir.
You're going to win this by a landslide, Dan.
Hey, wait. I've got it worked out. You can get every question up to the last one, and yet on the last one win. So just hang on. Stick in there.
Right, I get as many buybacks as I want.
Yeah, right. All right, so we're going to move forward into the Amber Lights. The Amber Lights are 2,000 points apiece, 2,000 points apiece. So the next question, what canceled NHRA national event is now back on the schedule, but with a fall date here in 2020? Doug.
Southern Nationals.
Yes, sir, the Southern Nationals, my home national event. That they put it back on the schedule. I'm glad to see that they did that. All right, so you two are tied at the moment as we go into the second Amber Light. The second Amber Light here. Second Amber Light. Who was the last funny car NHRA winner?
Oh, God.
Robert Height?
Doug.
Robert Height?
No, it was not Robert Height. Dan, I'll give you a shot.
Funny car. I'll say Force, but I have no idea.
No, it was not Force. It was Don Schumacher Racing's Tommy Johnson Jr. over Fast Jack Beckman. All right, on to the next amber light here. So this one, and I hope they're getting tougher as we go along. It's which popular class in drag racing has its title sponsor as samtech.edu?
Boom.
Dan, go ahead, Dan.
I got you. The factory shootout cars.
Yes, the factory stock cars. Yes, the factory stock cars are sponsored by samtech.edu. Okay. Green light. All right, and right now we got Dan leading the way. Things can get tied up here with this green light before going to the last question. What legendary drag strip has recently been shown to be put into a new configuration that is a figure 8 track designed for drifting?
Is this like Jeopardy? Can I hit the button?
Go ahead, Dan. You got it.
Englishtown, my friend. Englishtown.
Yes, Englishtown. Look,
I did not know that.
Let's stop right there. What do y'all feel about that? Englishtown, I mean, the drag strip's still there technically, but it's completely reconfigured to be something else and not intended as a drag strip anymore. How do y'all feel about that? Because I know, originally, Doug, you were up there in New York, and Dan, you're still up there in New York, so it's kind of like a home event. How do y'all feel about that?
Well, for me, it was, when we lost Englishtown, it was heartbreaking. That's where, I grew up in that area. I just loved going there. It's disappointing to know that I could go back racing, and that's not one of the races that I can attend. So for me, it's when you see things changing in drag racing, that's one of the bigger things that's happened as far as changing, because that's where I really caught the bug.
Yeah, no, for me too, super sad. I mean, I live up here. Are you in South Carolina again, or are you still back here?
I'm in North. Go ahead, Doug.
I'm in Mooresville. I'm in Mooresville, North Carolina.
Where are you at now, Lee? Are you home here or there? South Carolina?
I am in Roxborough, North Carolina. In fact, at Strutmasters. I'm actually in the Strutmasters showroom.
Oh, good for you. Well, when you were up here for a couple of years, and Englishtown's only 6 hours away. So for me, that was a tremendous loss as well to lose that facility. My son Timothy actually won Superstock at what will be the last ever Englishtown national event. So, I mean, for me, I won there several times. It's 6 hours from here, but it's still one of my closest races, or was. Heartbreaking. And I saw that picture on Facebook of the perfectly cast, like Circle 8s from the drifter cars, whatever, but they're on the drag strip, bro. I mean, it was a drag strip. That's where we raced, and it just sucks. It's terrible, awful.
Yeah, it's tough. I had never been to Englishtown, and it being a crown jewel event, it was on my list. And it was actually on the list the year they decided to take it off. And I'm like, man, I lost my shot to go to Englishtown to see a drag race. So it's disappointing to me as well. And not to mention, it holds so much history. I mean, I believe it's the track that has the first 6-second pass for a pro stocker with Kurt Johnson. I mean, there's so much history there. Obviously, Scott Coletta and his passing there. I mean, so much. Don Garlitz with his moonshot in 1986. I mean, it's so much, and it's still there, but it's just not the same. It's just not the same. So
that's what I was referring to as Garrett's flipping over there, right? That's where he flipped over and drove back towards the starting line?
That's right. Yep. That's right. Okay, we're going to get to this last question. Let me say thanks to a few folks. Again, Sam, Billy, Jacob, there on YouTube. Thank you. Randy watching also as well and commenting. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you. Last question. So, Dan, you're in the lead. You can come back, Doug. You can come back. This last question. and I hope this is a hard one. So, last question. What extremely successful NASCAR team owner was involved in IHRA and NHRA pro stock racing in the mid-'80s with Bruce Allen and Raren Morrison? Do, 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 do.
Say it again.
All right. So in the mid-'80s, IHRA and NHRA, this successful NASCAR team owner was involved in pro stock drag racing with Bruce Allen and Raren Morrison.
Dang, I don't know. I know that Joe Gibbs was involved in drag racing for a while. But,
He was. It's not Joe, though.
No, that was fuel cars. So, no, I can't help you, bro.
Was it Yates?
It was not Yates. Yates would have been a little earlier. Anybody else? You got any other thoughts? We got people commenting in the comments section. No, it's not Roush. Billy Lawrence, Rick Hendricks. Rick Hendrick was involved in IHRA and NHRA drag racing.
You know they're going to kick me out of Mooresville for not knowing that.
It's just fine. I mean, he probably owns that town along with, like Humpy Wheeler.
Absolutely.
Right. Well, Dan, look, congratulations. You have won the drag racing trivia here on Between the Slicks, but kind of like whose line it is anyway. The rules are made up and the points don't matter, so congratulations.
Oh, thank you so much. I feel like I backed into it there, not getting the last one, but.
Hey, all right, you're good, man. You're good. Well, guys, let me go into a few of the questions with you. We haven't got any quite yet through the comment section of people watching. Dan, let me go to you with this question. All right, you're sitting at 104 wins. One more win, you can tie Frank Manzo. And it's been a little bit of a drought for you in NHRA drag racing currently on getting another win. And all of this COVID stuff, because the last time I interviewed you, you were, like, what am I going to do? Man, where are you right now mentally concerning yourself and drag racing and winning? And what do you think it's going to take? Because you mentioned, I read in my National Dragster that you mentioned that the competition is tougher than it ever has been. What does it take to win these days in the sportsman ranks of drag racing, especially NHRA?
I mean, sportsman racing is it's not a heck of a lot different than the Glot Fling was. I mean, it's just decided by thousands every second. I mean, everyone has good equipment. Everyone drives well. I mean, it's just incredibly hard to win. You're flipping coins. I mean, it's just, you've got to just hope to have luck on your side and be blessed that day. It's not you're an arm wrestling. I mean, it's incredibly, incredibly hard. So for me right now, this whole pandemic deal, I mean, I got done at Phoenix, took my rig to Vegas and parked at a friend's house to go back to run the Vegas National and the Vegas points meeting, the fling there, and then go to Charlotte. And well, I mean, hell, here we are, 3 months later. I mean, it's really, really hard mentally. I mean, it's hard financially. I mean, I'm not able to go earn a living right now. So 2 weeks ago, I got to fly out to Vegas, get my motorhome and trailer. We've got 5 or 6 race cars, but go out there and get the Strutmasters Dragster and the Strutmasters Camaro and get them back east and go to Glot Fling. So it was great to get to go race. That's all I know. I mean, for 1 week in time at Glot, it was like normal life. I mean, it was just so blessed to be there and race and just act like life was normal again. Now I'm back home and it's back to wearing a mask, going to the Home Depot or whatever, and it sucks. But I'm totally looking forward to in 2 weeks I'll go to that million race in Michigan. That same weekend my son will take 2 of the other cars and go to the divisional race in Lebanon Valley. And then I don't think I'm going to get to Seattle, but I can't wait to get to Denver and get back on the NHRA trail.
Awesome, Dan. So, Doug, with these Indy 1 and Indy 2s coming up, NHRA is doing some things differently. Like they're opening up for testing on Friday, then qualifying Saturday, racing on Sunday. You can park over through the week, things like that. What's the plan for Foley Lewis Racing going up to Indy 1, Indy 2? Y'all going to take a shot at testing on Friday, or try to do that the next week? What's the game plan?
Yeah, we are. So we were fortunate enough. NHRA announced, I believe it was this morning, that they're actually going to offer a test session on Thursday also, which we really needed. So with making wholesale changes on this combination, it was something we need to do. So we'll be testing. I just got off the phone with Frank Manzo. He's actually going to help us out, and he's going to let us use his shop for a day. And we're going to prepare some stuff there. We're going to test on Thursday. We're going to test on Friday in preparation to try and get to this, shortened qualifying on Saturday. So here we're going to take a car that we are changing literally everything, and now try and get it in the field with only 2 shots on Saturday. So, but we plan to do that, and they have a really early start, I guess, because it's live TV. You got to give NHRA a lot of credit. There was, between all the financial issues with the teams and everything that's going on, and them having to deal with, I can't imagine having to deal with this many different states in trying to figure out how to run a race or where they can run a race or what they're allowed to do. So they've done the best they can under the situation, circumstances, but we're going to run both of them. We'll stay in town in between, do whatever servicing we can, look at the computer, look at what we need to do, and use that week to prepare for the second weekend. And we're going to, I believe, between the testing and those 2 races, we should be able to get enough runs in to hopefully at least get us prepared for the fall season.
All right. Well, Doug, let me ask this. Indy, and being in July, practically middle of July, does that make it where the notebook that you might have for Indy, even though y'all might not have that deep of a notebook anyway, does it make it where it's not applicable compared to, Labor Day weekend, or conditions going to be very similar?
Well, one of the advantages is we're bringing in a veteran crew chief. So, when I drive a car, the driver in the car doesn't matter where it is, as long as the crew chief understands what those track conditions are. He's got notes going back to 2018. So it's not like my 10-year hiatus means nothing, as far as any of that's concerned. The good part is we brought in a guy who's got familiarity to those conditions, those tracks. Okay, nobody's really ran Indy in July before, but I can't imagine it being that much different than September. Maybe a little warmer, but with us getting shots on Thursday and Friday, which is so unusual in an NHRA situation, you'd be banned from ever running that track 7 days prior to the start of a race. So these are different times, and everybody's going to get a shot to run on that track either Thursday or Friday. So for us, getting that notebook started on Thursday morning is going to be helpful, and we're all in it with the same conditions, so we'll just try and figure it out and do the best we can.
All right. So, Dan Fletcher, look, give me a rundown on the cars that you have for people who might not know. I mean, you got a whole garage full, and they all got a story. Let's start out with that Strutmasters, I believe it's 69 Camaro that was your dad's originally. Am I correct?
Yes, sir. It's still my dad's. I'm just borrowing it. It's just a legacy for me. My dad bought the 69 Camaro brand new in fall of 68. Been a race car its entire life. Never driven on the street. Proudest of that car of anything I got. It's won over 50 national events itself, and it's what got me started into my career, if you will. Also got another 69 Camaro, stock limited car that I've had since I was 15 years old. That's a really heartfelt car for me as well. Got the Chevelle wagon bracket car. Got this pipe rack here. Not a big fan of dragsters, but it's a tool. Got to have one. And then we got a 69 Nova as well for one of my boys. That's a super street, super gas bracket car. 5 race cars is a lot to take care of. We've got, like Doug said, I mean, racing, you can, and we try our best with everything, and got great sponsors, great products, and they're all out there. We just got done servicing the wagon and the Nova. Nova's in the trailer. Kid's going to go to Empire this weekend and race, and like I say, he'll be at Lebanon next weekend. But 5 race cars, the Crown Jewel, if you will. Crown Jewel is my dad's car, and then probably my '69 Camaro's next in line. But they're all great race cars, and we work as hard on them. Like Doug said, it go out with his kid, whatever. You can lose your way with a car. I promise you can lose your way. Like the wagon this winter, I sent the converter back to ATI, one of my great sponsors, ATI, and loosened the converter up like 150 because I thought that would make the car better. I mean, we'll tune fuel within a thou on the pin on the jet size. You got to hit that sweet spot to make. His deal is arm wrestling. And he's trying to be as fast as he can. I'm trying to be fast, but as consistent, make the car work as well as I can. And it's a chess match. I mean, the driving part, the race car part, it's all a chess match, but it just takes time and work. You got to outwork the other guy, and Doug knows that. You got to outwork the other guy.
Doug, speaking of Sportsman Racing and the cars, I was able to do a shop tour with you over there at Foley Lewis Racing. And for folks that don't know and just see the top fueler, clue them in. What do you have else in the shop and that can be raced?
We have 2 American dragsters that we run, 1,000 horsepower type power plants. We've tried the blowers. We've been back and forth on whether we feel confident or not that that's the answer to what we're trying to do. But so we run those dragsters pretty consistently. And my son Doug, my older son, he does a lot of the SFG races and has been competing in those and has done fairly well with them. Like I said, we have an S10. We have another S10 that's been in the shop for I don't know how long. We've been 4-linking it and doing all kinds of stuff to try and make it more competitive. But as Dan says, we work, converters, carburetors. I mean, just everything to try and make those cars more, as competitive as possible. But it seems like when we get it right, and you have these, these unbelievable packages, those seem to be the weekends that somebody gets inside the package and we lose. It drives you nuts. Kid will go 003 and off by 3 thou in the finish line and we lose. And the times that we go 12 on the tree and we're off by 100, then we win. So it's one of those days that there's no doubt that's a really tough classes in the sportsman ranks to run in. Like Dan says, the top fuel cars are a little different with what you're trying to accomplish. But when we try to make those sportsman cars the best we can and go from there, and usually we're pretty good, and the kids are pretty good. But at the same time, God, I'd rather be lucky than good any day.
Definitely. I think of Madman Frankie Taylor at the ADRL event here recently. I mean, he was lucky over good. The man had a red light first round against him. He passes on. 2 cars crash out in round 1. One of them would have been the car that he would have faced up against. And then Wesley B. Jones couldn't crank his car, even though he was the fastest car all weekend in the semifinals. And the finals, the guy couldn't answer the call because he popped the blower in the lights at the end of the other run. So Frankie was able to just kind of scoot his way to a ADRL opening win. It was amazing. It was, shades of Warren Johnson in his last win, years ago. So definitely sometimes being lucky is better than being good. All right, gentlemen, Sam Hyson, I hope I'm getting that right, that last name right, Sam. He has a question for you two drivers. He asked, what do you guys do to get mentally ready for a run? Let me start on that one with you, Dan, and with the caveat of this. you're hopping in and out of a lot of different cars. Like I can remember trying to catch up with you and get an interview that's like, well, Dan's already back in the staging lane. So Dan's in the staging lane. So Dan's in the staging lanes. So how do you mentally drive, 2, 3, 4 different cars on a weekend? I mean, I know they got to react differently. They got to drive differently. How do you do it, man?
Well, it's all just just preparation. It's preparation and planning. I mean, I spend an inordinate amount of time pouring over my logbook, looking at the weather, analyzing my opponents with the live timing on the NHRA website. I mean, getting in the mental zone for me, really is just, getting in bed at a reasonable time, being well rested, trying to exercise. And dude, you have to do every little thing you can to differentiate yourself from your opponent. You need to be physically in shape. You need to be mentally clean. But it's just preparation. When I get in the car, when I actually pull out to the water, all the work's done at that point. Now I'm just a robot. Now I'm just going out and doing what I'm supposed to do. It's all the work and all the preparation and data analysis. Again, from Doug's deal with the fuel car, it's way different. I'm not, when I used to drive a comp eliminator car, and that car had to be fast. My cars need to be fast but consistent, predictable, and what have you. So for me, it's all just preparation. My mind is always going to be where I need it to be. It's all just, do you have, a good game plan for the run? Do you have a proper analysis of the conditions, of the wind, of the air, of the track? It's all the work that goes in ahead of time of just being prepared. That's the whole deal for me.
All right, Doug, with you getting prepared to make a run, I wonder, what is it that you normally do? Unlike the situation you had where you had to deal with a angry nitro, top fuel, Harley driver in Brandon, I think you said it was. You can check that story out on YouTube with Moto Tales on Monday Morning Racer. So normally when you're not having to deal with a mud-covered bike, what do you do, Doug?
Yeah, I agree with Dan, especially as I find myself, as you get a little older, staying in shape. I actually think that your preparation starts on Monday morning for the next weekend. So we've put an effort into more of a training program physically. I used to think that, not eating was the answer for me. And I did that for years. I would not eat at all on race day. And I found that, obviously a balanced diet and a clean diet is definitely helpful. Staying in physical shape, because, a fuel car will toss you around a little bit. So those things, but, I'm a big believer. If you get in a car and you have to think about it, then you haven't done it enough, or you got some additional work to do. But I get in the car fairly early. A lot of drivers are hanging out and going to the starting line and doing all that stuff, and for me that really doesn't work well. I don't have a problem. Obviously you don't get in a top fuel car if you're afraid to sweat. So I just get in there early and allow my mind to clear a little bit and just kind of, close my eyes and zone out a little bit and just kind of relax. But if you're a true driver and you've been doing it for a long time, you just kind of get in and like Dan says, you're a robot. You do the same thing every time until the car tells you it needs something different. But it's really just having your mind in the right place and not having distractions prior to getting, starting to run.
I remember Clay Milliken had a team, a college team in sports medicine, come and study him over a weekend, several weekends, if I remember correctly, him saying. And he used to be like that. He wouldn't eat during a race weekend, but they found out that if he did actually eat before a run, it actually did help him in even reaction time. So it's fascinating, diving into the sports medicine and science behind drag racing and racing and period. how these little things can impact the human body on race day. So, guys, look, Randy has got a question. I'm going to put it to both of you. Drag racing has come a long way since you two first started drag racing. No offense.
You say we're old, Dan.
Right. Yeah. So to both of you, I've got to ask, did you ever expect that, the estimated horsepower of a top fuel engine would be like 11,000 horsepower?
Well, that's more for you, my friend.
No, because, really, back when we started, nobody thought you could build parts that would ever hold that kind of horsepower. So it was never, could the track handle it? You'd never thought the track would ever handle 11,000 horsepower, whatever, the actual number is these days. So NHRA and those guys have really allowed, and the track prep is unbelievable. So that is one thing, but I never thought you could ever find parts. When we put this stuff together, it's unbelievable that something could have that kind of horsepower and that kind of, blower boost and all the things that these motors do to be able to stay together and do what they do. So I'm just blessed to be part of it.
All right, gentlemen. So I'm going to take just a few moments. We're going to segue into the last few moments of Between the Slicks here, and we're going to have story time. So, guys, get armed and ready with some of your best stories from drag racing. And I'm going to drop one myself because I've been going to the drag races a lot lately, brought to you, thanks to strutmasters.com and Chip Lofton. And I've been building my own storybook. So, story time here on Between the Slicks. Here it is. I'm at Texas Motorplex, and there for the ADRL kickoff. So, extreme, you got Extreme Pro Mod there, and it is hot. It's hot for me as a Southerner out there on the line filming. There's nowhere to hide. It was hot and humid. The track temp was nearing 150 degrees. That's how hot it was. And you've got these guys trying to get down the track and qualifying with these, extreme door slammers and, only 2,250 pounds and bring everything, run what you brung type of situation. Well, no one's getting down the track, but one of the drivers, Boucher, I believe is his last name. He's out of Louisiana, so you never know with those guys how you pronounce their last names. But he's got his Willis Pro Mod. Do what?
Is his first name Bobby?
No, I don't think it is. Anyway, he's out there.
There was a movie, Bobby Boucher. Never mind.
Yeah. So he's out there. He cracks off a 369, I believe it was, in the heat of the day. Impressive run. Nobody else is getting down. Well, all of a sudden, we start seeing fire trucks go not down the track, but towards the tower. And we're like, what's going on? Most time fire trucks head towards the end of the track, not towards the tower. The announcer, Kenny, for the ADRL, was so excited at this run in the heat of the day, he tapped the glass at the Texas Motorplex there in the announcer booth, and it shattered, fell below, and even sliced a guy's arm beneath the tower. And they had to go stitch this guy up. Saw him later in Terry's Haddock's pit as he was checking out the top fueler in the Pro Mod. One of the wildest things I've ever seen, that an announcer hits glass, it falls, and cuts somebody. All right. There's my story. So now, Dan, we're taking it to you. What's the story you got for me, man?
Well, I've got a bunch of them, but I think I'll go with I was at Bristol, Tennessee at a points meet, probably about 2000, we weren't at this house yet, so about 2000 flat. I won a divisional race near the end of the year. It was like September-ish. On the way home, I won the race, and I'm in a points fight, for a championship and what have you. Stop on the way home. in a rest area by myself, like I often am. I don't even know if I had two cars at that point. I might have just had one. Stop in a rest area, whatever. Sunday night, I've got a satellite dish on the motorhome, but it's not an automatic one. It's a crank up deal, whatever. Watch football game that night and go to leave in the morning, and the dish won't go down and won't stow right, whatever. So don't have a ladder to get up the back of the motorhome. So I would have to go up the cab door and like get on top of the window and on top of the door and jump up on the roof. And I'm back and forth a bunch of times trying to get this dish to stow so I can drive down the road. Well, where I was parked on the side of the road, the motorhome was kind of like this, kind of tilted off the road. Well, the last time I'm coming down, I had all my work done. Last time I'm coming down, I'm standing on top of the cab door, so I'm 10 feet in the air, and the door friggin' swung closed, and I went falling off the side of the motorhome. And about halfway down, I realized, oh boy, I got a problem. I'm falling. It was all I could do to get my arm out before my head bounced off the ground, and poof. Dude, I was cut and bleeding and just a mess. It was a stick shift truck at that point. I drove myself to my friend's house in Maryland because there was a points meet the next weekend. The medics came to the rest area and bandaged my face up, whatever. And I'm looking at my computer. It's about to run out of battery, so I'm going to talk fast. I got to my friend Tim Warner's place. He picked me up. I rented a car, drove home. That night, my wife took me. I got home, and my kids were little at that point, and I walked in the house like, could barely move, and I got inside, and she got the bandage off and said, we got to go to the hospital. I said, I'm not going to the hospital. She showed me a mirror, and there's this huge gash in my head. And, okay, we're going to the hospital. So I went to the hospital that night, got all stitched up. The next week, I had to go back to Maryland, run a points meet. I couldn't move this arm at all, nothing. So for the next, God knows how long, I put a button on the wheel and had to leave left-handed for the next probably 6 months. So that's my story.
Man, there's times where it seems like this racing gig is far more dangerous being out of the car than in it at times. It's amazing.
Dude,
yeah.
100%. Once you're in the car, I'm good.
Right. It's like I'm safer in the car than being out in staging lanes or wherever. Definitely. Well, Dan, thank you for sharing that story. Look, if you've got to check out because of battery, feel free. We understand. Doug, man, I know I didn't tap you out with 3 Moto Tales as long as you've been doing this. So, man, what you got for me this time?
So, people don't realize, after hearing Dan's story, they think it's all peaches and cream driving down the road and everything's great. And all they think about is the actual, times that we, actually go down the track and all of that. But mine is kind of I was trying to think of a good one, and this one actually. So when we first started racing on the IHRA side with the Top Fuel car, obviously we had to cross the border a lot. So we had, at that time, I think 3 Canadian races. So first couple times was quite involved. I had never crossed the border with a tractor trailer and all the equipment. And I think by the second or third time, I felt like I got this down pat. I got my bill of lading. I got all my stuff together. And I pull up to the border, and 2 really young, attractive girls come out, and they could have been more than 19, 20 years old. And they said, we need to inspect your rig. I hand them the bill of lading. I hand them the keys. I said, if it's okay with you, I'm going in the men's room. I'll be back in a couple minutes. And so I come back, 10, 15 minutes later. And these 2 girls are standing by the back of the trailer. The side door is still open. And they're standing by the back of the trailer, and they're just completely I couldn't even handle their emotions because you could tell they were upset. You could tell they were definitely baffled about something. One of them looked like she was in tears, and I'm standing back there, and of course you don't want to say anything wrong or do anything. I'm just trying to cross the border, go racing. And So she calls on the radio and gets her supervisor over now. So her supervisor comes over and they're standing by the back and they're still talking and back and forth. And one of them's really upset and he's like rubbing her back. And I'm like, I don't know what's going on here. But so finally the supervisor comes up to me and he says, "Can you tell me what's up in the lounge?" And I said, "I don't know. There's a couple bunks up there, but we use it for computer downloading and stuff like that." And he goes, "No, you mentioned bunks. What's up in the bunks?" And I can't think. I don't know. Just crap that we use go racing, maybe some wings or something like that. And I didn't think about it. But at the time, one of our sponsors was RCI Safety Equipment. Well, in an attempt to get them some exposure at the races, the creative person I am, I went and purchased a dummy. And I dressed the dummy in RCI equipment. Well, so I think she went as far as to maybe touch the dummy. And in her mind, she convinced herself that this person was now rigor mortis, And so it was the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. Because these girls at the end, after I told them it was nothing more than a dummy, a mannequin, whatever you want to call it, and all of that, it was quite funny. And their supervisor thought it was really funny considering I happened to be the first tractor trailer these two young ladies have ever checked in their career. So he thought it was the funniest thing that ever happened. And it was just unbelievable. It was just a great experience after the tears stopped.
Man, Doug, you know that is still used in training today. I guarantee you. All right, we had this incident. It was only a mannequin, so you never know what you're going to find. You never know what you're going to find, man. I can only imagine what it is like crossing the border with a race team. I know, speaking with Eric Latino, the pro mod driver, I mean, it's nuts what y'all have to do to get across the border. And I can only imagine, you have nitromethane? Well, what is that?
yeah. Fortunately, carrying that has diminished drastically. But that was a heck of a chore for us. I can't imagine, guys like Mercier or those guys who literally cross the border on a weekly basis, or that's not an easy task. I think it's, people don't understand, if you're coming through in a car, it's a lot different than what we deal with when you have to have, a 3 or 4 page bill of lading of every item you have in the trailer and what's going on. And, so it's definitely, it's a unique experience and sometimes was a real pain in the butt.
Guys, look, thank you for making this episode of Between the Slicks fun and a success. I am so thankful for you two being on. Look, I hope to see both of you two at the track soon and covering things for strutmasters.com. So, guys, look, I'm going to let y'all check out, and then I'm going to close out Between the Slicks here on Monday Morning Racer.
See you later.
We appreciate it. Be good.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Folks, look, this has been Between the Slicks with Monday Morning Racer. I'm glad that you've watched. Look, hit that like button, hit the share button, tell your friends about Between the Slicks next week, Thursday, 8 p.m. once again. We will have, I know, Justin Ashley of the strutmasters.com, Davis Motorsports Top Fuel Dragster. I'm still looking for that second guest to come on, but we will be right here again Thursday, 8 p.m., coming up with Justin Ashley on Between the Slicks with Monday Morning Racer. Again, big thanks to strutmasters.com. I'm even coming live from the Strutmasters location here in Roxborough, North Carolina. Also, if you're a coffee drinker, check out Gearhead Coffee for your coffee needs. Promo code MMR10 will get you 10% off at purchase. This has been Between the Slicks, drag racing talk show, brought to you by Monday Morning Racer, supported by strutmasters.com. Until next time, God bless and keep the pedal to the metal.